We are about to embark upon a series of strange and exciting, dangerous adventures. Adventures that will lead us to all parts of the world. We are about to embark upon a series of strange and exciting, dangerous adventures. Adventures that will lead us to all parts of the world.
Hello and welcome to another Bad Comic Review. This time we are looking at Legends of the Dark Knight, issue 16. This is part 1 of the 5-part story Venom, written by Denny O'Neil, layouts by Trevor Von Eden, pencils by Russell Braun, inks by Jose Luis Garcia Lopez, Willie Schubert did the letters, Steve Olive colors, Julian Helfer were the editors. Batman attempts to save this little girl from drowning after she was kidnapped, but things go horribly wrong. Batman breaks down quite a bit, and it's really had a massive impact on him. He wasn't strong enough to move this boulder, and he blames himself. When he goes to see the girl's father, the father seems very indifferent. He makes these designer drugs that are supposed to enhance human ability, but the people that wanted the drugs in the first place are not done with him. So when they come after him, Batman's in the way, and again, Batman thinks he fails, resulting in a serious injury to his arm. And then he ends up in another fight, which does not help matters at all. And Batman ends up taking a 1-month supply of this drug from the creator, and it has a very profound impact. So it leaves on a very disturbing note, and I have to say this was a really good story about not only the limitations of one man, but also desperation, the desire to become more than you are. I thought the art was fantastic. The cover's awesome. I really like that cover. So I was really excited to read this. This is actually one of the more expensive story arcs to buy for this series because of the introduction of the drug Venom in here, which was made popular later on by Chuck Dixon with the character Bane. But I thoroughly enjoyed this. I thought it was great. Again, these issues are worth a little bit more than the average one from this series, but still not a huge expense. Usually the price of a new book or less. And sadly, it hasn't been reprinted in quite some time. So if you're looking for a really good Batman story, this was a lot of fun, really solid entry, and it really does humanize Batman quite a bit. So if you get a chance to read this, I would absolutely recommend it. So far, this series has been amazing, and I forgot how good a lot of these stories really are. So I'm looking forward to reading the next issue, but until then, this is a solid recommendation. Thank you so much for watching and supporting the channel. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss future reviews. If you'd like to help the channel out in other ways, links are in the description to various support methods, and as always, we hope to see you on the next one.
We are about to embark upon a series of strange and exciting, dangerous adventures. Adventures that will lead us to all parts of the world.
Hello and welcome to another Bad Comic Review. This time we are looking at Legends of the Dark Knight issue 17. This is part 2 of the storyline Venom. This was written by Denny O'Neil, layouts by Trevor Von Eden, pencils by Russell Braun, inks by Jose Luis Garcia Lopez, Willie Schubert on letters, Steve Olive on colors, edited by Julian Helfer. So Batman is now obsessed with exercising and going out and fighting crime, and this is really worrying Alfred because the way it was presented to him is this medication would help him to focus more on research and fighting crime, when in fact it seems to have quite the opposite effect, where he's just going out and busting heads for no reason. He's not actually researching or keeping up with the news, and he's been doing this for 3 months now. When he goes back to Dr. Randolph Porter for more medicines, he is introduced to General Timothy Slaycroft. Slaycroft has some inclinations as to how this drug could be used in warfare or cleaning up the streets, and Batman is sort of a guinea pig and possibly a recruit for this. Now, Porter is also withholding a lot of the medication from Batman and seems to have no concern at all about his dead kid. When Batman goes to leave, he runs across young Timothy Slaycroft, who appears to be somewhat special needs or slow, and that comes up later when Batman throws a refrigerator through a wall to take out some guys who killed some informants. These informants, by the way, were the ones that killed Porter's daughter, and it looks like he may have been working with them for information to feed to Batman, which is pretty messed up. Batman's trying to figure out what's going on with that, and Gordon is trying to establish who the killers of these guys were, and unfortunately that is not going to go well for Gordon, and we're left with a cliffhanger ending where Batman may betray his friend. Overall, this was a really solid issue, fun story. It shows what addiction can do to someone like Batman, and how it's making him more and more obsessed, but it's also making him reckless, unable to think clearly or plan, and he seems to know something isn't quite right. The art's fantastic, the cover's creepy, and it kind of plays out in the book too. So I was really happy with the interior art. I thought it was very solid. This is an all-around great story. Very underrated. So if you get a chance to check these out, I highly recommend them. So far it's been really, really good, and the entire series has been really solid. So strong recommendation on this one. Even though it's from 1991, it's still a really good story and definitely worth a read if you're a Batman fan. That's gonna do it for this one. Thank you so much for listening and supporting the channel. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss future reviews. If you'd like to help the channel out in other ways, links are in the description to various support methods, and as always, we hope to see you on the next one.
We are about to embark upon a series of strange and exciting, dangerous adventures. Adventures that will lead us to all parts of the world.
Hello and welcome to another Bad Comic Review. This time we're looking at Legends of the Dark Knight, issue 18. This is part 3 of the Venom storyline, written by Denny O'Neil, layouts by Trevor Von Eden, pencils by Russell Braun, inks by Jose Luis Garcia Lopez, Willie Schubert did the letters, Steve Oliff on colors, Dooley and Helfer editors. So we get a brief recap of the mission that Batman has been sent on, but even in his strung out state, he's not about to turn on the only friend he has. So he warns Jim what's going on, and then Batman goes to get the general and the doctor. Unfortunately, the addiction gets the better of him and he gets easily distracted by a bag of pills and they get away, and that's when he knows he's gone too far and he needs help. So he calls the only person that he can trust, Alfred Pennyworth. So he gets locked in the cave for a month while Porter and Slaycroft go to Santa Prisca and begin their experiments anew. Young Timothy suffers the most of it. He finds this nice girl that he falls in love with, and the general and the doctor use that against him. As the serum gets more and more refined, Timothy begins to change and become a very, very powerful, nearly unstoppable beast. Meanwhile, Batman is recovering and he comes out looking pretty shabby. Sort of like Kenny Rogers, but wearing a bat suit. And the tragedy of Timothy's arc completes itself while Batman tries to figure out what to do next. This was a really good issue. I can see why this one is the most sought after of the storyline because it is really, really dark. And we actually get to see more refinement of the Venom serum, and Batman struggles to overcome his addiction to the pills. Thankfully, we don't see too much of the addiction, mostly because for the era, it would have been a little inappropriate to see a lot of those things for a mainstream comic book. Even though this is not Comics Code approved, it would have been a little bit too much, I think, for the publishers to take that much of a risk on. But we do get to see things through Alfred's eyes as he tries to listen in on what's going on in the cave through the intercom and has to process his own emotions about not being able to help. It's a really solid issue, a really good storyline so far. I'm looking forward to reading the next issue. I haven't read these in well over 20 years, probably close to 30, and they're even better than I remember them. So I'm looking forward to reading part 4, and this is absolutely a solid recommendation. Great cover, which kind of relates to what's going on in the book. Great story, solid art, everything about it really comes together. So highly recommended for this issue. You should be able to pick it up for about the price of a new issue, maybe even less. But that's going to do it for this one. Thank you so much for listening and supporting the channel. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss future reviews. If you'd like to help the channel out in other ways, links are in the description to various support methods. And as always, we hope to see you on the next one.
We are about to embark upon a series of strange and exciting, dangerous adventures. Adventures that will lead us to all parts of the world.
Hello and welcome to another Bad Comic Review. This time we're looking at Legends of the Dark Knight, issue 19. This is part 4 of the Venom storyline, written by Denny O'Neil, pencils by Russell Braun, inks by Jose Luis Garcia Lopez, Willie Schubert did the letters, colors by Steve Oliff, Dooley and Helfer were the editors. So the experiments on Santa Prisca are going well. There is now an entire patrol full of these super soldiers that Porter has created with the pills. He's also created other types of pills, including these ones that create a hypnotic state that makes people virtually mindless drones. Batman informs Gordon what's going on as far as he knows, and he heads out to Santa Prisca. Unfortunately, the general gets an eye of the airplane and shoots it down. So Batman and Alfred are separated, and Alfred quickly becomes a hostage. The cover scene is somewhat accurate. There are sharks, and Batman does fight them, but that is an awesome cover. So it does relate to what's going going on in the book, and that actually would have absolutely got me to buy this book back in the day if I hadn't already planned on buying it. The art inside the book is equally awesome, so if you're looking for a good Batman story, this storyline is fantastic. We get to see the origins of the Venom serum in the days before Bane, and we get a really good, more or less self-contained story that's part of a larger narrative where Batman's going to the island and he has to try and go rescue Alfred. It's a really solid issue. I had a lot of fun reading it, and these back issues do not go for a lot of money, so if you get a chance to check this out, I would absolutely recommend it. This is a really, really fun adventure, and it's one of the better forgotten Batman stories of the last 30 or 40 years. So if you haven't ever read any of these old Legends of the Dark Knight, this is a great storyline, and it's turning out to be a really solid series so far. So high recommendation on this. And like I said, usually you can find these at a very inexpensive cost, usually less than the price of a new issue, and you're going to get a lot more out of it with a lot better quality of art. That's going to do it for this one. Thank you so much for listening and supporting the channel. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss future reviews. If you'd like to help the channel out in other ways, links are in the description to various support methods. And as always, we hope to see you on the next one.
We are about to embark upon a series of strange and exciting, dangerous adventures. Adventures that will lead us to all parts of the world.
Hello and welcome to another Bad Comic Review. This time we're looking at Batman Legends of the Dark Knight issue 20. This is part 5 of the Venom storyline, which means the storyline's wrapped up. This was written by Denny O'Neil, layouts by Trevor Van Eden, pencils by Russell Braun, inks by Jose Luis Garcia Lopez. Willie Schubert did the letters, Steve Oliff did the colors, and Dooley and Helfer were the editors. Now Batman is not in great shape, and he's got to face off with a venomized Timmy, and he is not getting the better of that fight. He gets the crap knocked out of him. But they're not done messing with Batman yet. They take his utility belt and throw him in a pit where he can only open the door by pulling down this chain and hooking it through an eyelet, and the chain has an 800-pound weight on it. So Batman either has to take a new strain of the Venom pills that are even more addictive and probably going to permanently enslave him, or he has to come up with some other plan. Now, he doesn't know what happened to Alfred, but we do learn that. And we find out how feral Batman got trying to go through the withdrawal symptoms of Venom. And Batman comes up with a pretty interesting technique, maybe not one that would work in real life, but it was interesting and it was fun to try and escape. Now, unfortunately, there is a rather tragic end note to this book, and it is a really dark, dark story. The ending is not one where anyone wins. It is kind of unresolved what happens to one of the characters, but everybody else, boy, there's not a lot of happiness here. So overall, this was a really good storyline. It was very adult for its time, and I'm really glad I reread this because I haven't read it since it came out, and it was really, really good. This is a very under-recognized storyline from the early 90s that absolutely should be reprinted more. It's really well done with great art, great cover, which actually does relate to what's going on in the book, and a lot of interesting elements in the story. So if you get a chance to read this, I highly recommend it. It's a really fun Batman story. It's really interesting, and it is a bit more mature. And it doesn't have any of the whiny navel-gazing that you get in modern comics, where everybody is sipping soy lattes complaining about their lives. Batman just gets in there and gets it done. He does what needs done. So if you're looking for something a little more high-octane than what has been coming out in the last several years of comics, this is probably going to be for you. And you can find it for the price of a new book or less. So if you get a chance to pick these up, absolutely do it. This is a great installment in the story, not a good standalone, but an excellent installment of the story. And that's going to do it for this one. Thank you so much for listening and supporting the channel. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the like button, and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss future reviews. If you'd like to help the channel out in other ways, links are in the description to various support methods, and as always, we hope to see you on the next one.